Hello, greetings Pokemon lovers, and welcome to Pokemon Part 34. Oh, and typical, I'm doing an LP and my mother interrupts me. You know, people have pointed out that the female trainer looks exactly like the mother figure, which, again, does make sense, I guess. And I also like how she points out that she used to be a Pokemon trainer. It's in the Pokemon universe, it kind of seems like that's everything. You know, that's something everybody does. X-Scissor there, a physical bug type move, 80 power. So yeah, very powerful and very useful. I'm sure Webb will maybe add that to his repertoire. Now this route here, you can see it's quite stormy, and of course that there is actually a reason for that. But we won't find out now, we'll have to come back and revisit this particular route. But as for that, we need to move on to the tower. Now each Pokemon game does have this sort of tower. Oh wait, no, I think one generation doesn't have it. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's the third one, I think. Well, I guess in the second generation, their ghostly tower is a radio shack, so I guess that doesn't count. But anyway, onto this tower, it's fairly simple. You just work your way up to the top. Now, of course, in this tower, you can catch some particularly cool-looking ghost Pokemon and some and the odd psychic-type Pokemon. Now, I really like this Pokemon. It's based off the old sort of big-headed aliens. Elysium, I wanna call him. And actually, before this Pokemon, I always thought to myself it would be really cool to have like an alien Pokemon. But when I first saw this Pokemon, I didn't realise that yeah, this is supposed to be that alien Pokemon I always wanted. Silly me. Although in my defence, it does look kind of different. And yeah, he's one of my favourite designs. Of course, we are once again greeted with a Sigilyph. I'm trying to think if Sigilyph is reminiscent of something in particular. Like I want to say a Dreamcatcher, but he probably just looks like a Native American ornament, no matter what. You gotta love payback. And once again we are greeted with Soloist. And yeah, I think it was psychic Pokemon. They sometimes look mystical, but a lot of the time they seem to be based off science fiction concepts. Like you see there, you know, one of them is like a bacteria and the other one is an alien. That's pretty cool. So, in terms of design, I wouldn't even call this a dungeon really, because it's really quite basic. And again, I'm cutting at any battles, because it's probably Pokemon we've seen before. Will-O-the-Wisp, or Will-O-Wisp I should say. Now that is I think, yeah, it's a fire type move, but it's usually learnt by ghost type Pokemon. And it's essentially a status move which will inflict burn on the opponent. Oh, and here we have one of the cooler additions to this generation, Litwick. Litwick is a fire ghost type Pokemon. I can see that he's based off a candle, and he's really adorable. And I must say, it's really cool to have a ghost fire type. You know, that just seemed like a really cool combination. Now here we have Yamask, which I showed off in a previous part, I think. But in case you don't know, yep, he's a ghost type Pokemon who has a spirit of a human soul on his body. And yeah, that's what the Pokédex says. In fact, if you search on YouTube, I think someone has made a video called the top 10 creepiest Pokemon entries. I'm trying to think if ghost types would be useful in this version of the game, and I think they would be, particularly because there are 3 types. Out of the Elite Four, 3 of them have a weakness to ghost type Pokemon. Oh, now here is a Pokemon called Golett. Now he's a ghost ground type Pokemon, and he, as you can see, he's based off the old Hebrew myth of a golem. And a golem. Again, I did an LP of the PS2 RPG Summoner, and of course there's lots of golems in that game. But essentially, the point is, the legend goes you build a golem, this giant figure out of clay, and then it would obey you and become your servant. And I'm considering teaching Jack Black Flare Blitz here. A really powerful physical fire type move, which would be perfect for Jack Black, so I teach it him. Though honestly, the trouble is with Flare Blitz is that you get like back damage from the attack, which honestly it's a big negative. But I add it to his roster anyway. Again, I really like the adorable little Litwick, and some people criticise this line of Pokemon. Like saying, "Oh look, Pokemon has run out of ideas. They're using chandeliers." But now it's genius, a candle to a lantern to a chandelier. And it's also a fire ghost type Pokemon. It's great. If I could afford to, I would actually have a chandelier in my house. That would be pretty sweet. Again, we see Swoobats, and maybe it's the fact that I use Repel a lot, but unlike previous generations, I don't really feel swamped by the bats here. Like in previous ones where there'll be Zubats and Golbats in every cave. Again, it could be all the Repel I'm using, but I don't seem to have that problem in this game. A Spell Tag, which I think powers up the power of Ghost type moves. I think. And of course, I don't know much about Japanese culture, but we have these sort of psychics here, and I guess they're meant to be Shinto priests and priestesses or something. Maybe trying to channel the dead. Now, this I wanted to show off. It's Ducian. I think it's Ducian. And yep, he's the evolved form of Solosis. Oh, these names. See, I haven't watched the anime in like forever, so I don't really know how to pronounce any of these creatures' names. But yep, he's the evolved form of Solosis. And yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. Speaking of which, that Solosis line is actually a really good Pokemon to use. And in fact, I think it's the evolved form of Solosis, which we'll see later on. I think it has like one of the most high special attacks in this generation, or at least in this regional Pokédex. Now here we have a nurse, and it's the typical scenario. You defeat her, and yeah, she'll heal your Pokemon. Yeah, it's nice to see that Hippocratic oath working out for your lady. This Pokemon, Gothita? Yeah, that's it. And yeah, she's kind of creepy in a way. Not necessarily her appearance, but the fact that her name sounds like Lolita. It's got all kind of creepy connotations. Now this Pokemon, when it first appeared, people thought it would be the evolved form of Luvdisc, which is like a heart-shaped, like a fish Pokemon that's shaped like a heart, from Gen 4. And honestly, it should be the evolved form. I do like its fins that are shaped like hands, though. They kind of look like old-fashioned rubber gloves. I just thought throughout the generations they always seem to have their own kind of fish Pokemon. Or at least this kind of fish, you know, the sort of decorative fish, like, let me see, Finneon, Lumion, Goldeen Seeking, you know, all that kind of stuff. But yes, it turns out this Pokemon is actually more resilient than I thought it would be. Now, I think at this point I'm wondering, is it physically strong or specially strong? So I'm not sure whether to use Leaf Tornado or Leaf Blade. I should really be using Leaf Blade because I think Cumberbatch has a higher physical attack than special. Good. Not to mention it keeps using Protect all the time. I've cut you down to size. But yeah, this dungeon, if you can even call it that, isn't really that long. And I want to think about it, having a graveyard in a tower is actually quite a strange idea. I mean, do those tombstones represent graves? And if they do, does that mean people are buried in the tower? Again, maybe it's a Shinto thing. Maybe the ashes are scattered somewhere or something. Again with the Swoobat. Like, just thinking of a bat Pokemon in general, we've got sort of Zubat, Swoobat, and we've also got like, as you know, I've got his name, but that sort of Gliscor Pokemon, which I think was introduced in, well, yeah, one was introduced in Gen 2, and its evolved form was introduced in Gen 4. Although to me, the sort of Gliscor Pokemon, they kind of look like scorpions, and I think they're actually supposed to be like gargoyles rather than bats. But it's nice to see a variety of bats. Speaking of bats, I can't help but notice in Gen 6 we now have horde encounters. So yeah, we will be literally swarmed by bats. Now this is a Pokemon I wanted to show off called Gothorika. Again, the evolved form of Gothita. And yeah, I've said this before, but they seem like they should be sort of Psychic Dark-type Pokemon, which is a combination I'm still waiting to see. And yeah, this one, yeah, it doesn't look any better than Gothita, I should say. Still has all those creepy connotations. Ooh, TM65 Shadow Claw. Now, I think I teach this to Tim Curry later on. Yeah, I do. And it's a move that has like 70 power, but yeah, it also has like a high critical hit ratio. Hey babe, can I ring your bell? Ding dong. You know, a bit of trivia on our bit bells and Pokemon is that Bronzong, you know, the Pokemon that's actually based off a bell, can't learn the move Heal Bell. I mean, if it did, it would be broken, but yeah, the one Pokemon that is an actual bell can't learn Heal Bell. I guess that's kind of amusing. It's 3 o'clock and all's well. a Big Ben joke there. Yes, you are truly a kind person, because only a truly kind person could just ring a bell. And anyway, with this drama out of the way, we can now go on to the gym. Please, join me then.